Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another unboxing for Marvel Zombies, a Zombified game. This is the Galactus the Devourer expansion. So I was going to be one a lot of people have passed on because of the price point. The Galactus quote-unquote miniature is very big, and this was a very expensive expansion. But it does add some very interesting gameplays. It basically adds an overall boss element to the game, so that whether you're playing as a zombie or a superhero survivor, you have, besides having to deal with the other enemies you're fighting, you also have to deal with Galactus, who can be a zombie or a regular non-zombie, I guess. But you also get Silver Surfer in there as well. So before I jump in, we'll look at the box, all the cards, and all the rules. But of course, let's just get the miniature of Galactus out of the way. Alright, so I'm going to pop my camera off, because it'll be easier to show. So here is Galactus. Here we start at his base. We are going up. And there he is in all his glory. So he is holding the Silver Surfer hero minion. So you can have a rough idea of how big he is. And then how his gameplay works in just a brief idea is you put the boards down on here, and then he usually stands kind of on top of some of these. You know, I'll go through the rules and we'll see a little bit more of these. But he takes up a street space, and he kind of goes like one zone at a time. So if he's moving forward, there's two different modes to play as him. There's one where he actually moves forward. I'll get some detailed pictures here. Where he moves forward across the board, trying to take over the map. And then there's another one where he is attacking. He basically lands like in the middle of the city, and you have to attack him from two different fronts. And if he does move, he moves per zone. So he's on this zone, so he'll move and take up this entire zone, which will any buildings in that range. If you want to get to him, so if I have Silver Surfer, you can spend you or a zombie or a bad guy, whoever you're fighting, can spend an action to move up onto his base. And now once you're on his base, you can actually start attacking him. But what's also neat about this is, you know, people are like, oh, he's just a guy that just stands there. He doesn't do anything. He's just a deck of cards. But that's where they actually incorporated, let me see if I turn my camera. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Yeah, they actually incorporated Galactus himself to being in there. So characters can move up here. Zombies can get up here like you're a hero, and you can fight them. On top of this, they have a battle. He can also knock you off because he can rotate. Or if you're on his base at the end of the turn, he'll do damage to you. So basically, being near him, he causes damage. So, and we'll go over the rules some more. But what's also neat is you can move up to be on top of his engine. So this is actually a really cool feature. Like I said, they added more stuff where the miniature himself is playable. And if you're on the miniature, it's free to move down, but it costs a movement point to get up on top of there. But then now you can do more damage to him. And then finally, if you're fighting the live version, you can move up into the hand, and you can attack more. And it will go through the rules. There's basically benefits of getting higher up on there. It takes you more actions to get up there. But it is beneficial. And he does have other stuff where he attacks he can move on the board, he can flip around. So again, the rules come with two different modes for playing as him. I just kind of want to put the map down there so we can see an idea of that. But then but you can definitely add him into other modes as well. I'm gonna pause quick. Actually, we're not even gonna pause it. We'll just do this live. So I don't really have his head on there that secure, but what you can do is you can pop his head off, and then we can put on the zombie version. And there we have the grotesque zombie version of him. including broken helmet, face mask ripped open, his zombified face. Definitely cool. So even if we pop back the rest of the album, you see the top of his helmet's broken. Now, I know a lot of people were having issues with getting him on there because I don't think he's not meant to, like, be forced on there to stand there forever. I think it's meant to kind of just hang out on there, so that way it's on there. And he also has his head up at an angle. Versus, if I take this back off and I put the regular Galactus head, you can kind of see how there's a little pattern. Where little notches, that notch is his neck. So, the regular version fits in straight, so he looks straight forward. The zombie version kind of looks up. And then he also has an arm he can pop out. And it's kind of the same idea, has little notches in there. And if we throw the zombie arm up in there, yeah, I'm just lightly sliding them, not forcing them in. And I don't think there's any reason to force them in. I think sure people are having issue because they're trying to, like, cram this in as hard as possible. But there's no reason to. You don't want him to, like, fall off. I mean, I'd probably put him a little bit tighter than that. But, yeah, I think he stays. But, yeah, there's his zombie arm. So his, like, armor got ripped open. Little zombie arm. He's got some sharp fingernails. Now, if he's in zombie mode, though, which means you're fighting him as a superhero, like this Silver Surfer, you no longer have the hand to crawl on. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. Let me just look at some of the detail on that hand. That's pretty cool. I'm going to flip him around quick and kind of see the rest of his engine, because, I mean, this is definitely a big, giant, outstanding model. Now, even this is pretty solid. Like, I'm not going to, like, ream on it, but, like, I can see how it could accidentally get pulled out. But there we go. That's the miniature. Alright, I'm going to reset and we're going to take a look at the game. Alright, so let's look at the heroes quick. We've already looked at the big guy himself. We've kind of seen this Silver Surfer, so let's just go ahead and take an actual look at his miniature. I don't know why I have such glare on there. Alright, but then, yeah, here's his very basic. He's Silver Surfer, doesn't have a whole lot of extra stuff going on with him. But this is if you want to play as the hero version, which again requires either the X-Men X-Men Resistance or the Retail Hero Resistance versions to play as the heroes. So you have all the different stuff because they have their power side. Now he has his Cosmic Board, which is a standard 0 to 1 range, 2 dice with 3 accuracy. So not bad. But his special abilities, I'm going to kind of zoom in on there. We'll move this over a bit. Okay, Galactus, you're in my way now. Says, alright, when attacking with Cosmic Board, you may spend 1 power to gain 2 range. There we go. So that's actually pretty cool. So you can spend the extra power to do some extra range. That also means if you have, let's say, 3-4 power, presumably, so that's what I always wonder, if you could actually spend multiple. You only spend 1, that's fine, but if you could spend it multiple times, that'd be kind of cool too. In orange, he has light speed. On your turn, you may spend 1 action to perform a move action, moving up to 3 zones and ignoring enemies. So you just did some extra movement around the board with the extra range is a good combination. And then finally in red, he can earn the Power Cosmic. During each turn, or during each end phase, increase your power track to its maximum. So that's actually pretty cool. So basically he can extend his range, he can spend, move quicker, and then he can also just up his attacks every turn because you'll have maximum energy. So you can just go ahead and spend, I have 4 power, just spend all 4 every turn because you're going to have it sitting around anyhow. So definitely pretty cool. Then let's look at the zombie version. So there's our zombie miniature. So yeah, he like loses his sheen, and he has to. Ooh, I knocked him right off of there. He has a bunch of like cuts and blemishes and all that stuff on him, but he also has a bunch of skulls on the bottom. That he's hovering over. There's only so much you can kind of do with Silver Surfer, even to make him a zombie without like destroying him. All right, so he also keeps cosmic boards. It's kind of funny. He keeps the same ability. This is one of the. This is one of the few times you've seen both versions right there. We have Energy Blast. Once during your turn, you may increase your hunger to eliminate one trooper or specialist within one range. So, he just spend his basically his extra hunger points to eliminate easier troopers. That's pretty fun. He also has light speed. Spend one action, move up to 3 zones. But then he gains in red Cosmic Devourer. By the way, by the end of this video, you're going to hate the word cosmic because it's going to be said so many times. Fair warning. So Cosmic Devourer, add +2 dice to result when performing a Devour attack. When you devour a target, you may reduce your hunger by any amount. That's actually pretty cool. So yeah, he gains extra bonus to do his hunger. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, comparing these two then, that means they both have the light speed. One gets you extra power to use. The other one, if you devour, you get extra dice to devour. So that's actually very helpful because you have to devour as a zombie at some point. But that'll definitely help him out very well because now he can actually roll 3 dice. So he has a very good chance of devouring people. And then he also has his Energy Blast. You can increase your hunger to eliminate a guy for free. Although his lets you do more ranged, which is very helpful. You can stay at a distance. This one, he doesn't mind getting up close and personal, but he'll just take out guys right next to him without having to worry about rolling for extra power in that. So it's also pretty cool as well. Also, if you combine those two together, Energy Blast with Cosmic Devourer, increase your hunger, eliminate a guy. Next time, spend action, increase your hunger, eliminate a guy. Oh no, we have to devour. Now let's see if you're in red, you can add 2 to your Devour attack right away. So you can basically keep using your Energy Blast because you know you have a way to fairly reliably get rid of it. Alright, so that's the 2 basic heroes, hero characters, kind of look at them together. They got somewhat similar poses. Only thing I would have almost wished was the zombies one board was broken. That would have been kind of neat. Like, it would have been like cracked in the front or something. Like a chunk broke out of it. Like, kind of show you had some waning cosmic power. That would have been kind of neat. Although I'm glad he's standing on it. They could have made it, like, not a good one where he was, like, just holding it, or he was using it as like a club. That would have been kind of cool, too. But if he was just standing next to it, like a surfer dude, that would have been kind of lame. Alright, we're going to then take a look at the instructions and kind of see what's in here, and then we'll go over the card decks as we get to them. We still have Galactus' stuff to go over as well, but we want to look at this stuff first, so we know what these cards do and how they work. Alright, Galactus the Devourer, so we're going to get all this different content. Of course, you get zombie mode content and hero mode content. Basically, they're the opposites of each other, so they have the same amount of cards, same amount of things. They do the exact same things, just one does it if you're playing zombie mode, and one does it if you're playing hero mode. Otherwise, they work ideally or identically the same. And that's how setup is going to say. Choose a mission in this book. So again, it has 2 missions for each side. And then choose a deck. You're playing zombie. If you're playing as a zombie, you're fighting non-zombie Galactus with his Galactus deck, Power Cosmic deck, and Master Planner deck. And if you're playing against the zombie version as a hero, you have Zombie, Ravenous, and Lost Tech. Pretty simple. So it says, useful definitions. Characters controlled by players are referred to as player heroes. This refers to a zombie hero or a superhero, depending on which mode you're playing. And enemy heroes are anybody else you're fighting. And the equivalent components are usually used together. For Galactus Action Deck refers to either deck regardless of which type he is. So, gameplay overview. Galactus is a foe like no other. Whether living or zombie, his hunger is only matched by his immense size and power. In order to defeat him, player heroes will have to take down the force field powered by the acolytes before destroying him part by part. Player heroes need all the help they can get in this daunting task. They may climb Galactus and his engine to gain the advantage when attacking Galactus himself. However, that's a dangerous position to be in when Galactus moves or attacks. They also may seek to gain the Power Cosmic or Lost Tech cards, which grant them unique abilities. So, the Galactus dashboard features a planning track and his living or hungry track version. It advances as the game progresses and he draws his master plan or ravenous cards. So, during the turn, so if we flip back here, we're going to look at this quick. The turn structure is basically the players get to go, then Galactus goes, then the enemies go, then the end phase. During Galactus' phase, you increase his track by 1 and you spawn a Trooper Walker on the force field. So every turn is always going to regenerate his force field a little bit. You have to spend time taking care of it before you can hurt him. You can draw to resolve 1 Galactus action card. So every turn he's on a card that basically says what he does. And then each player in any Galactus zone suffers 1 wound. So that's anyone that's on the base, the engine, or standing on their hand if they happen to be there. So getting up close to attack him is what you need to do to defeat him, but it comes at the risk of taking extra damage. So don't jump in there unless you're ready to actually fight him. Or you have like all the, or if you like, you might not want to run up and try and fight him like when there's like 10 zombies sitting right at the bottom of his base waiting for you. On his zones, he has 3 bases. The base adjacent to the 3 closest zones in each direction to him and the engine, which we'll see a picture a little bit later. So anything next to his base is where you can actually jump onto him. You can't just jump on from wherever. The engine part will hold 2 heroes and is adjacent to the hand. And then the hand only holds 1 player. There's no line of sight between Galactus zones. So what this means, if I'm standing on his actual base, or on his hand, or on his engine, I don't need to worry about having a line of sight to hit him. I can hit him as long as I'm on him. Moving down is for free. When he moves or rotates, players on the hand or engine fall off the base and suffer 1 wound. So that definitely makes him harder to fight as well. Because not only do you have to worry about taking damage, if he draws something that does it, you're going to take damage anyhow. So there's really almost no way to avoid taking a point of damage every turn. Attacking his parts, they can only be attacked from Galactus zones, and they require no range. The force field must be eliminated first. And then parts suffer -1 toughness when attacking from the engine, and -2 when attacking from the hand. So basically, if you can get up onto his hand where you can attack him closer, he becomes weaker. If you get on the engine, he's a little bit weaker. On the base, he has normal. So there is the benefit of climbing up on top of him, spending your extra actions, because he will take more damage. And then specialties, if you're playing with Silver Surfer as his ally, he has last target and priority. So if there's a bunch of zombies around, you have to hit him last. And then you draw an action card, so he also gets a special deck. That's just kind of the basis of the phases for him. So if we go back to the book here, his actions are as straightforward as regular enemies. He executes multiple strategies and devastating schemes by drawing cards. So when he does finally get to this at the end of, so by the time he hits turn 4 and he gets to the end of his track, he draws a master plan or a ravenous card. So normally he does his simple actions, then he does these a lot more devious actions. So if we look at these Galactus zones, they're going to have the base, the engine, and the hand. So you can move up onto the base, then to the engine, then to the hand, and then they have a little spot there, notified as the force field. Just kind of, it's sort of what it is. It's sort of like an intangible zone you have to attack. Alright. So if we bounce into these a little bit more, the base zone can be occupied by any number of game pieces, whether player, heroes, or enemies. Anyone in a zone of the board adjacent to the base may move one zone to reach it. So here's his different zones. So if he's there, any 3 spots next to him is a zone that lets him get on his base. So if he's, 3 different rooms, if he's in like the middle of a street area, if he's on taking up part of the one street and there's only one tile, it's just the next row of zones, which is all the way across. Or if he's in an instance where he's on in between 2 areas, it's just the outer edge tiles. So the engine can only be occupied by up to 2 heroes at any time. Enemies cannot enter the zone. So that means zombies can gather. So if I'm playing, let's say I'm playing as a hero, the zombies can now gather on his base, keep coming after me and keep doing stuff. So you might have to keep moving up just to avoid getting attacked. So that's kind of interesting there. All players on the hero base must move one zone to reach the engine. From the engine, he may move free to move down. So once you move up, it costs a move action, but you can move down for free. And the hand is only available to the living version, so if you're playing as a zombie. And you can hold a single zombie enemy hero. Enemies cannot enter at all. Costs again 1 to move up, but it's free to move down. And you can either go down to the engine or down straight to the base. And why would you want to maybe move down to the engine instead of just down to the base to maybe try and hop off? Would maybe be because let's say during my turn I have Spider-Man up on top of the hand and he was doing some damage, but then during the next turn Hulk managed to get up onto the engine. Maybe I want to move Spider-Man off of the hand back to the engine so he can still have that reduced toughness. But now I can move Hulk up to the top where he can do a lot more damage. So you might trade guys around that way. So that's kind of cool. The force field is not a zone. It functions solely to hold the troopers, walkers, Galactus spawns there to defeat his defensive forces. See attacking Galactus. It can only be occupied by up to 6 walkers or troopers who are never activated. They never move or attack. They simply stay there, powering the force field. So you can set guys, so kind of up here on his hand, you could go ahead and set guys around the base on his hand if you wanted to show that, so you can keep track of how many there are. So Galactus base is adjacent to 3 closest zones on each tile. Player heroes and enemies can move one zone from the base, to go from it to the base, and vice versa. So you have to spend a point to move on and off of it. Line of sight can be traced between the base and adjacent zones, so attacks are possible, as well as the use of skills, traits, and abilities. So if you're on the base or up there, you can attack using that. So it says, we missed this line here. The different Galactus zones do not share line of sight between them, so attacks are not possible between Galactus' skill zones. Skills, traits, and abilities cannot be used between Galactus zones, unless they specifically don't require a line of sight. So, essentially what that means is, you are attacking him, and you can attack any one of his zones as long as you're on him, but there's nothing that specifically, if I'm on the base, I can't do anything that you're not required to have a line of sight to move between one to the other. So if I have something that lets me move a zone, let's say I have a charge ability, I can move 2 zones. I can't spend that to move 2 zones up to the engine, up to the hand. I have to spend 1 action to move from one action to move to the other. It's not a movement zone area. So if you have a charge ability or something like that, or if it's something that says let's just say if there's an ability that lets you target 3 spaces, 3 zones away, and do 1 point of damage to each in that zone, you can't target his hand and then do damage to 3 different body parts. You can only attack 1 body part at a time, regardless of your abilities. That's essentially what that's saying. Galactus space is pretty simple. Move the tracker over to the right. If the token reaches the space, move it back to the first space and draw a master plan card. Spawn a Walker Trooper to be the force field, draw a Galactus action card, resolve it, and then any player standing in Galactus' zone, base, engine, or hand suffers. Now, keep in mind this is any hero player. So this is not enemies. So like if zombies are up on his base, they don't take damage. Galactus doesn't care about them. So Master Plans and Ravenous cards work pretty fun, and we'll take a little bit closer look at each one of these. But basically they share the same idea. They're going to highlight one of the 5 parts you can attack: head, chest, engine, left arm, right arm. They're going to have a passive, or always ability at the top. You always do no matter what. That's going to show what part, if that part's destroyed, or if it's already been destroyed, this card goes away, you just skip it. And then the orange box is going to show a passive or a permanent effect that always happens. So if you've already destroyed, let's say, his chest in this one, draw the card, do Cosmic Acolyte's ability, then the card just goes away. But if you haven't destroyed the chest, this stays out until you do that. So now that means if you're not destroying these parts fast enough, every 4 turns he's going to get a new big ability that's going to stick out. He's just going to become harder and harder and harder to defeat. And if the deck ever runs out, you just reshuffle it. So even if he has all 5 of them out, or he has 4 out, and it'll just run through. He just won't stay out, and he'll keep getting them special things. So there's Power Cosmic and Lost Tech cards, which are extra abilities to help get it. So, says the zombie hero is able to feast on the power cosmic brought by Galactus, with superheroes can secure Richter's powerful lost tech. So these will be indicated during missions when they can be used. I think most of the missions are either when you get an objective from a chest, or you get an objective token, you get to pick a card, or when you defeat one of the superheroes. So whether it's a zombie or a living superhero, then you get one of the cards. You can only have 1 per player. So if you get a second, you want to immediately choose to discard 1 without resolving its effect. But they don't take up any slots on your things. They don't occupy any of your regular stack cards. They just give you an extra special ability, which should help you basically focus on defeating Galactus. So we'll definitely have to look to see if they're ever going to be useful for any other modes. Alright, Galactus movement. So some missions, Galactus rules instructed he moves forward 1 line. When this happens, his pieces moved to indicate on the diagram below his base moves forward, overlapping the next line on the map as highlighted. So it's basically each street level area. So on the edge of pretty much every map on one side or the other, or adjacent to it, somewhere they should be able to figure out where a street level would be. If you're not entirely sure for some reason, you can always grab like another tile and set it next to it that has a street, so you can see where that street level would be. And he just slides over and he takes over that space. And that space is no longer occupiable. You can't do anything with it. So it says, the base is destroyed. Any spawn points are destroyed and are removed. All buildings are then opened. So if he bumps into an area that now he's partly into a building, he opens all them rooms. Any bystanders are destroyed and removed, but the Devour bystander is not triggered. Any enemies are eliminated except for enemy heroes. No XP is gained. Player heroes and enemy heroes are in the destroy zones are moved onto the base. So basically, if he moves forward, destroys wherever tiles there, destroys any objective tokens, any bystanders that can get rescued or devoured, opens up any doors if that would have been considered to open up a building. There's like the edge of a building. All zombies or hero survivor villains are destroyed, but the hero characters, your playable characters, are the hero villains you're fighting, get to go on his base and they stay alive. See, it's not like a way you can like shove. I'm playing player Captain America versus Zombie Hulk, and I can just kind of do a push attack, shove Hulk back into a zone where Galactus is going to move, and Galactus will step on him. Nah, he'll just move up onto the base. Some missions require rotating Galactus to face the opposite direction. When this happens, simply put, his pieces rotate 180 degrees, but he remains in the same place. No zones are destroyed. But But unstable ground. Whenever Galactus moves or rotates, all player heroes either on the engine or on his hand fall down to the base and suffer 1 wound. So basically, if they're up on top, they can't stabilize themselves. Alright, so we kind of talked about attacking Galactus. He's going to have his 5 different pieces on his card. Each have a different health point. He'll have a force field here as well. And parts may not be targeted while the force field is alive. And I've already talked about that. So it does say, right here, any player hero in the Galactus zone can target the force field or any Galactus part if the force field is down, regardless of range of their attack. So I can make some range characters very powerful, because sometimes range have might not have as high of damage, or maybe have higher damage because they have less accuracy, some of that stuff. Attacking the force field targets the spawned walker or trooper. Are eliminating the usual way. Each hit eliminating one of them. There are no more enemies. You can be targeted. When attacking one of his parts, though, you have to score enough hits to match the targeted part's toughness. So just like when you're fighting one of the hero cards, the Abomination level. Galactus zones and Galactus parts are not related. Zones are where character stands. Parts are the targets he must destroy. So you're not. So even though you're standing on his hand, you're not targeting that specific hand. So if I destroy his left hand, that body part doesn't fall off. Or if I destroy his right hand, if I destroy his left hand, which is sitting on the engine, it doesn't prevent me from standing on the engine. If I destroy the engine, it doesn't prevent me from standing on the engine. If I destroy the head, I don't remove his head from the game. They're just more or less different things in there. Then there's a high ground, which you mentioned earlier. So attacking from the engine part, targeted part has its toughness reduced by 1, and the hand has it reduced by 2. Regular effects to reduce enemies' toughness have no effect on Galactus parts. Only specific states the toughness if they specify him. So some of the Power Cosmic and Lost Tech might say stuff that reduce them, but if you just have a regular attack that says, oh, you can spend 1 power action or 1 hunger or gain 1 hunger to reduce someone's toughness, it doesn't work on Galactus. And the final little thing here we have is the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer is Galactus' conflicted hero and works with him to keep heroes from thwarting his conquest. He's a menacing presence across all Galactus missions with several special rules and Galactus cards affecting him in different ways. So if you play as Galactus, I believe you're going to have to use Silver Surfer. Again, we'll look at the cards, and we'll see if there's a way, take a, it's just 2 or 3 cards, maybe you could just take them cards out, or maybe you could do something where you could replace them with a different character, hey, this character's the Herald instead, something like that. We'll see what we can do, how the rules focus that. The Silver Surfer can also be added to an enemy, as an enemy to any other mission simply by adding his spawn card to the spawn deck and keeping his action deck nearby. Without special rules of Galactus missions, once the Silver Surfer is eliminated, he may only spawn again if the spawn deck gets reshuffled. So basically you can treat him like a regular villain to fight against, but it does say he has to keep his action deck. So again, we'll look to see how big of a deal that is. Silver Surfer is treated as an enemy hero for all gameplay purposes. Like regular enemies, he has 2 enemy heroes. He has 2 actions per activation. However, he has a few special rules. He becomes the last target priority. When Silver Surfer is in play, keep his action deck face down near the board at the start of the enemy phase. Draw the top card from the action deck, resolve it. If the action deck ever runs out, reshuffle and discard to make a new one. So it sounds like he has extra abilities. So we'll see if his power cards actually do that. Alright, so we're going to look at the missions quick. I'm not going to go super much into detail on this because I don't want to show off all of them for everybody too much. But here we have the zombie missions. So this is the first one where Galactus is trying to devour the city. So he's going to move every turn. He's going to move, or at certain points, he's going to move up through the city and try and take over. If he gets to the end zone, he ends up winning. There's a couple other different things. There's a special portal if you're playing 5 to 6 players. But it's also divided into left and right tiles. So it does say on here, Galactus rules. Focus. Place the Avengers token to the right of Galactus. It indicates Galactus focus in the highlighted right tiles. When the token is moved to the left side, his focus shifts to the left side. So when he does attacks, he's going to attack whichever side his focus is. Like mission effect B. When this is activated, Galactus attacks all the street zones on the tile under his focus. All enemies in the targeted zone suffer 1 hit. Roll 1 die for each zombie hero in the targeted zone. And at 4+, that zombie hero suffers a wound and moves to the Avengers token to the other side. Yeah, so he's gonna do. There's some other special rules in here, but he's gonna be moving up, but then he'll attack one side, move over and attack the other. So you might have to be bouncing back and forth across the street, but you also have to deal with the other heroes that are on there too. If you're playing as a zombie. So now you have to deal with Galactus, stopping him. You're also supposed to deal with the other troopers as well, also trying to stop you. It's a very interesting mode. And there's some other special rules in there. Once per turn, when zombie devours anyone, all zombie heroes in one range may decrease their hunger by 1, so that helps everybody else. Some life force. Zombie hero eliminates a superhero that gain 1 power cosmic or 5 XP in a power cosmic from getting an objective. And then cosmic links, which lets you move right up to Galactus. So there's some different other things. There's cosmic healing. You also break the shackles. You get the blue objective. You can eliminate Silver Surfer from the game. Now there's the exact same. Basically the exact same in hero mode. We have almost the exact same mission. Now the enemies are laid out, tokens are a little bit different spot because the tiles are a little bit different. They're not the exact same tiles or the exact same order, which is kind of nice. But the gameplay is almost identical. Almost the same number of characters and everything you're fighting. So we kind of compare the two. So yeah, they're not the exact same maps either. But I'm guessing this is only using stuff through the base game, so it's not using stuff from the expansion. So obviously, because here we're fighting up through Avengers Tower up here, but Avengers Tower is nowhere on the, if you're playing as the hero. But definitely if you're playing with the expansions, you could swap some of these tiles out if you wanted to. Maybe add, the Baxter Building if you have the Fantastic Four expansion. Yeah, so you said you can see these are different, but if you do have the expansions, you could add different tiles in there instead if you wanted to, because the gameplay is going to stay the same as long as you keep everything relatively the same. I think you're trying to keep street zone, big street zone, big street zone, but you could put other tiles. You get the Fantastic Four expansion, you could add the Baxter Building in there, so that adds that little extra intrigue in there. Or you could have, like a shield helicarrier or something mixed in there, a Hydra base, maybe he's trying to go after. You could do different stuff there, definitely. Alright, then the second mode, again, also uses base game stuff. So these are ranked from, these are all very hard, very long matches as well. So this has basically the same idea. Defeat Galactus. Lots of the same stuff. It's like he has special rules. Instead of moving, now he faces the opposite direction. So what he does here is now you're playing on 2 different sides. And Galactus is going to face one direction or the other. And then you have to put your heroes on one side or the other. Which make the game a little bit more tricky, because now you're playing a multiplayer game against him. Zombie heroes must start the mission divided between 2 zombie hero starting zones. It says bodyguard. When a zombie hero moves into the engine or hand zone, roll a 5. Silver Surfer immediately performs 1 move action. So this is if you're fighting the non-zombie version. Again, so Silver Surfer is a little bit more active. Also, he has Seeker here, so at the end of the Galactus phase, if there are no zombie heroes on the tile he is facing towards, he rotates the opposite direction. So yeah, for some reason he defeats all your guys. He's gonna try and turn around. But yes, there's some other definitely some different stuff there. So he's gonna have some different objects. When he's activated, he attacks all the street zones in the tile he's facing towards. All enemies suffer one hit. So instead of attacking normally just like the one side or the other on the other map where he's moving, here he's gonna attack, one of these three tiles here. So there's a safe tile down on each side here. But technically, since he's in these two corners, he'll attack all three tiles each time. So you can kind of go to the safe zone and hide down on one side if you want. But keep in mind that there's spawn zones on each one. So there's really no actual safe zone. And then it's the same thing, the zombie side, if you want to play as a hero fighting zombie Galactus, is going to have the same type of map again, just flipped around, kind of, a little bit different. But again, you're using the base tiles, so they're a little bit different. But a lot of the same stuff as well. Otherwise, yes, you have a couple extra rules for that, but otherwise it's basically the same. Yeah, and that's Galactus for you. Alright, so then let's hop into some of the other stuff. Let's look at his card here. I'll have to zoom up and out a little bit. So here's regular Galactus. So his head has 7 health. His right and left arms both have 5. His chest has 6. And his engine has 4. So obviously jumping in here to attack 4 probably be fairly easy. 5 will be decent. But getting up into 6 and 7, you're probably going to need to get up on the engine or the hand, or have some of them cards to be able to take care of. There they have the little force field thing, so you can kind of put your guys on the force field token on here versus on the miniature. Again, you say I think you could probably fit them all in the miniature, the Galactus miniature as he is, but you don't have to. That just has increases tracker, spawn a trooper, draw a card. Each hero suffers 1 wound. Fairly simple. We do get little tokens here. So as you destroy each part, you can put one of these little symbols on, little tokens on there to keep track of it. And then we have the tracker for him, regular and zombie side. The zombie side, not zombie side, to keep track of his stuff. And then if we flip him over to zombie, it's the exact same stuff. He keeps the same stats. Just the zombie side of it, just pretty cool. I actually noticed this. His lights change. He has orange lights on this side versus blue lights on that side. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything per actual gameplay reasons. Alright, so let's look at all of the cards. So we are going to get a hefty deck of cards here. So we're going to start off by looking at the zombie ones. So we have... Drop my camera down here. We have Galactus action cards. So these will be the different actions Galactus can take. So you're going to have 2 copies of Move. Activate Mission Effect A. So this is like, it specifically says what he does. That way, it works per each different mission. Attack is Mission Effect B. And we have 2 copies of those. 2 copies of Devour Earth. Activate Mission Effect A, then Mission Effect B. 2 copies of Order the Surfer. Activate Silver Surfer and increase Galactus' hunger track by 1. So that gets him closer to that Ravenous. Cards. 2 copies of Reinforced Shield. Spawn 2 walkers on the force field. So all these are fairly simple. Activate one effect, the other effect, both effects, summon Silver Surfer, or spawn thing. Nothing too crazy, but he gets one of these every turn. He has 1 copy of All Knowing. Each superhero may discard 1 trait or bystander card. Increase Galactus' hunger track by 1 for each superhero who does not discard a card. So this definitely is a little bit more punishing. And then he had 1 copy of Hunger for Power. Each superhero loses 2 power. Increase Galactus' hunger track by 2. So with these action cards, you definitely have to watch for that hunger meter, because you might normally be like, oh, every 4 turns it's going to activate. Except with these other last 2 cards here, they could definitely trigger a lot sooner. So you kind of got to be aware of that. Alright, then we have his Ravenous cards, which are his big schemes and plans he's trying to do. So when his meter fills up, he is going to get these special cards. So he has Lifebringer, so this is the engine. When this card is revealed, spawn 2 walkers on the force field. At the end of each enemy phase, draw 1 spawn card for the Galactus base zone. So when this card just gets revealed, you immediately he spawns 2 walkers. If you've just defeated the engine already, this is just discarded. But if not, at the end of every phase, he's going to spawn an extra zombie. And again, it could be any spawn, so he could be spawning heroes next to you. So that could definitely be very bad. Then we have Wrath, which is his head. This card is revealed, spawn 3 walkers on each active spawn point. And at the end of each player phase, which has no Galactus part or force field was attacked, increases hunger tracked by 1. So these can be very devastating, especially again if these add up. If you don't destroy these parts and get too many of these out at a time. Cosmic Acolytes. When this card is revealed, spawn 1 runner, 1 brood on each active spawn point. And this is the chest. At the end of the Galactus phase, spawn 2 walkers on the force field. For his right arm, which is a zombified arm, we have Flare. When this card is revealed, each superhero suffers 1 wound unless they discard a trait card. And at the end of each Galactus phase, each superhero adjacent to them is pushed 1 zone away and loses 1 power. If they can't, they suffer 1 wound. Ooh boy. And then his last one, for his left arm, is Leech. When this card is revealed, spawn 3 walkers on the force field. And superheroes no longer gain 1 power at the start of each player phase. Yes, these are definitely very punishing effects that can happen. Alright. Then what we have is we have, of course, a spawn card for Silver Surfer. So, Silver Surfer zombie, if he's helping out Zombie Galactus here, has 4 health, but he says gains 1 toughness for each bystander. He is devoured to a maximum of 3. So, 5, 6, 7. So I think this is where he needs his action deck, because otherwise I don't think typically they have a way to devour. I think if he lands on him, he might just devour them. But we'll see. We have his action deck here, and we'll see if how big of a difference that makes, whether you have to use it or not. We'll just put it in front of it. So we have 6 different cards. Cosmic Control, just 1 of each of these. Each superhero rolls 1 die and reduces their power by the number rolled. Reshuffle the Silver Surfer action deck. Cosmic Glitch. Attacks targeting the Silver Surfer zone suffer -1 to die results. Cosmic Hunger. The Silver Surfer attacks deal 2 wounds until the next enemy phase. Fresh Meat. Any one superhero with a rested bystander thing range 2 of Silver Surfer must discard it or suffer 1 wound. This triggers the bystander devoured effect. Scent of Flesh. Silver Surfer moves 2 zones away from the closest bystander. If there are no revealed bystanders, he moves towards the closest superhero instead. And Cosmic Interference. Up until the next enemy phase, superheroes cannot use bystander abilities or heroic traits. So there's nothing in there that forces them to automatically devour something. So although it does say if you're fighting with Galactus and you're using this, definitely use this deck. I guess you could get rid of it if you want to make the game a little bit easier, because it's 1 less thing to deal with. But I think if you're just playing as Silver Surfer, you just want to add him in place of one of the other zombie heroes you might be fighting. You definitely could. I don't think these cards would make that big of a difference. It might make him a little bit on the weaker side because he only starts with 4 health, but then again, most of the other heroes are somewhere between 3 and 5 health, so I still think he fits in the range. Alright, then the last thing we have for that mode is the Power Cosmic. No, we don't want to check the Power Cosmic. we want to look at Lost Tech. So if you're fighting the zombie, you gotta try and find the Lost Tech. And we have 2 copies of these. These are cards your heroes can pick up, which will help you do stuff. So it says, Ultimate Nullifier. Discard this card to eliminate all walkers, runners, and brutes within 1 range or on the force field. Then all superheroes within 1 range gain 2 power, including you. That's actually pretty powerful. And discard all walkers, brutes within 1 range or on the force field. Interesting. So you eliminate all the guys on that force field. 2 copies of Hyper Activator. You may perform 1 free move action during your turn. All your attacks gain +1 die. 2 copies of Energy Restrainer. Discard this card. Until the end of the player phase, Zombie Galactus has -2 toughness on the part of your choice. So this will definitely help you take out them parts. 2 copies of Psionic Refractor. Discard this card before attacking. You gain +2 dice. For each roll of 5+ on any die, roll +1 die. These dice may generate additional dice. Cool. So if you roll some 5, you get some extra dice. 2 copies of Contracting Collar. All enemies have -1 toughness to a minimum of 1 against your attacks. Galactus parts are not affected. We have 1 copy of the Ionic Force Displacer. When you are standing in any Galactus zone, all its parts have -1 toughness when attacked by any superhero. This is cumulative with high ground. And then we have 1 copy of the Inductors. You may perform 1 free move action per turn. Each time you activate, gain 1 power. So actually, overall, there's only, 2 of these are 100% only Galactus stuff that reduce his toughness. And then the 1 that eliminates all the zombies plus the force field, you just ignore the force field. So you could add these into other decks and be like other game modes as well, which is kind of a fun idea. And I think that's what makes this a good expansion, because you can add them in somewhere else. You just might have to take those 5 cards out, just because they're not going to do anything. It's not Galactus. Although you could just apply that instead of saying Galactus here. If you really wanted, you could be like, oh, I'll just apply it to a superhero for the turn. So if I'm fighting against Zombie Hulk, I can reduce his toughness by 1 instead. Hey, that's not bad either, and just consider it that. Alright, so then we have, if we are going to play our traditional mode and we're going to fight as zombies against live Galactus, we have his action deck, which has basically the same cards. We have 2 copies of the move, which is Mission Effect A, 2 attack, which is Mission Effect B, 2 Devour Earth, which is Mission Effect A, then B, 2 copies of Order the Surfer, which activates Surfer and increases Planning Track instead of his Hunger Track, 2 Reinforced Shields, which spawn 2 Troopers on the force field. So those ones are all the same. Then you get the special ones. We have Larger Plans. Each zombie hero may suffer 1 wound to increase Galactus' Planning Track by 1 for each zombie hero who did not suffer a wound. So I think this just the opposite of... Yeah, so the other ones may discard a trait or bystander to increase a track. Here, the zombies have to just take a point of damage. But then we also have Fit of Rage. Eliminate the closest superhero except for Silver Surfer and increase his planning track by 2. So this is a lot more devastating, because he's just going to straight up eliminate someone. Yeah, and then increase his planning track by 2. Although that's a superhero, you're playing as a zombie, so you can eliminate one of the other superheroes. Which kind of helps you out, but it increases your track by 2, where the other one makes you, the Power Cosmic one makes you lose 2 power. So, yeah, a little bit different, not exactly the same, which is kind of nice. I get why the basic ones are, just because they're his basic every game actions. Alright, then we're going to look at his Master Plans, which are where he attacked his body. So we have his head, which is Cosmic Madness. When this card is revealed, spawn 3 troopers on each active spawn point. Zombie heroes can only have 1 trait card instead of 2 on their dashboard. Ooh, that hurts. Cosmic Acolytes. When this card is revealed, spawn 1 specialist and 1 guard on each spawn point. At the end of Galactus's space, spawn 2 troopers on the force field. Wrath of the World Eater. When this spawn card is revealed, spawn 2 troopers on the force field. At the end of each player phase, which has no Galactus parts, or the force field was attacked, increases planning track by 1. Cosmic Mist. This card is revealed, spawn 3 troopers on the force field. All attacks performed at 1 range or more suffer -1 dice results. And the last one is Laser Beam. When this card is revealed, each zombie hero suffers 1 wound unless they discard a trait card. At the end of each player's phase, everyone adjacent to Galactus is pushed 1 zone away. Pushed zombie heroes suffer 1 wound. Troopers and specialists are eliminated. Yeah, so those are lots. Again, lots of these are very much the same as the other ones with just little differences. Yeah, so there's... At the end phase, each superhero Jason was pushed 1 zone away. So the zombie one just focuses on kind of the superheroes. The live one, he doesn't care about anyone. He's like, I'll eliminate, I'll eliminate heroes, zombies, whatever. So it's kind of a neat little back and forth because it makes sense. Regular Galactus, if he's, comes here, he's gonna devour Earth. He's just like, I don't care what that guy is. Oh, that guy's looks half dead. Whatever, I'm gonna kill him. Oh, that guy's the Hulk. I'm gonna kill him. He doesn't care. But the zombie version's like, I'm a zombie now. If zombies are trying to hit me, I'll definitely swat them away. But like, I'm gonna focus more on getting rid of these hero guys because they're my threat to me being a zombie. Then we have Silver Surfer here. So we'll go ahead and look at him if we summon him to help out Living Galactus. So he just has 4 health. Attacks on his own made at range 1 or more suffer -1 to dice results. So he has either dodging or a shield. And then he has his action cards, which he has Cosmic Surfing. The Silver Surfer moves 2 zones towards the closest zombie hero. Cosmic Rays. The Silver Surfer's attack deal 2 wounds until the next enemy phase. Cosmic Interference. Until the enemy phase, zombie heroes cannot use bystander abilities or zombie traits. Cosmic Glitch. Attacks targeting Silver Surfer -1 dice result. Reshuffle Silver Surfer action deck. Cosmic Empowerment. Gains +1 toughness until the next enemy phase. And Cosmic Flash. At the end of the enemy phase, if Silver Surfer didn't attack all zombies, heroes within 1 range must discard all of their zombie traits. So again, some of the cards are almost identical to the other version, but then they have a little bit of twist on the rest of them. Also, nothing is going to force you to use this deck. So again, if you just want to play Silver Surfer as a replacement for someone else, you can definitely do that. You don't have to use this deck. But if you do, it kind of makes him like a little mini-boss, right? Like, in the grand scheme, we have Thanos and Red Skull, which are both kind of like, non-playable characters that come out. You can have these guys come out as like almost little mini bosses as well, because they could come out and distract because they have this extra card every turn, which gives them a little bit more beef to fight against. Alright, so our zombies can get part of the Power Cosmic. If you're familiar with the comic book, when they did this, they gained the ability to fly and live with like half their body was missing and all that stuff. It was very interesting. And then they took over the galaxy. So we have 2 copies of Cosmic Influence. All enemies have a -1 toughness to a minimum of 1 against your attacks. Parts are not included. So a lot of the same ones as the other ones. 2 power copies of the Cosmic Surge. You may perform 1 free move action per turn. All your attacks gain +1 die. 2 Cosmic Blasts. Discard this card before attacking to gain 3 dice. Result of 1 on your roll. Don't increase your hunger. Yeah, so kind of hang on to this until you need it. That's pretty nice. 2 copies of Cosmic Shockwave. Discard this only all troopers, specialist brutes in the adjacent zones. Then all zombie heroes within one range may reduce their hunger to 0, including you. 2 copies of Cosmic Binding. Discard this card. Until the end of the player phase, Galactus has -2 toughness on a part of your choice when attacked by any zombie hero. Single copy of Cosmic Control. You may always perform any action you choose, even if you are ravenous. And Cosmic Virus. While you are standing in any Galactus zone, all its parts have -1 toughness when attacked by any zombie hero. So again, some of these would have to come out if you don't want to use them, but you could keep them as kind of like upgraded trait cards. Interesting thing to note here is the Shockwave here, which discard to eliminate all troopers, specialist brutes in an adjacent zone. The hero side, again, says or ones on the force field. So the heroes are trying to take out Galactus. They can get rid of all the ones off the force field too. The zombies don't get that much control. They can just eliminate the next zone, but they don't get the option to also eliminate the guys protecting Galactus. It's a very interesting back and forth on that. Alright, so that is what we have on there for this set of our giant Galactus Devourers expansion. Is it worth the money is the big question, and I can't answer that for everybody. So, it definitely adds a lot of content. You get two more hero player characters, whether it's Zombie or Hero Silver Surfer, plus the fact that they can be added as villains as well. They also have the deck, which can, if you want to include it, it makes them a little bit harder to fight. So that definitely adds some different extra modes there. The Lost Text deck and the Cosmic Power deck, I said, if you take up the Galactus specific cards, they can add some extra little elements or gameplay to your own custom games. As for Galactus himself, being that he basically has 2 modes, either devouring Earth or rotating and taking out either side, definitely can add to some interesting modes to the game. Make for a little bit harder game. You want something a little bit different. Now, could you play without him actually being on the board? Sure. You could just use something else to cover up the tiles. Do that if you don't want to drag up this giant miniature each time in the game. I can also see where the split map could be a little annoying, because if he's standing in the middle, depending on where you have how you have your board, you can set up. You have to kind of keep looking around him all the time. That could be a little frustrating as well. Same, even just in general. But I think he makes for a fun game mode. Now, again, he himself is most of the price point. If this box just came out and they had, let's say, a little 12-inch zombie with him, okay, he's not full size, but you can see he's definitely scale, or something like that, and it was like a $30 box, I could see people still buying it for the rest of the content. I just think, the Galactus itself is going to make it hard for people to want to spend the money on this, but I think I think it's overall worth it for the amount of thing. The only other thing I almost would have loved to see would have been a special tile. Maybe one or 2 extra special tiles in there, maybe started Galactus's base, or maybe something that was I don't know, chunk of the moon, part of the dark blue side of the moon fell to Earth, or something, Galactus took it with him, or something just interesting would have been kind of part of Galactus' ship. That would have been kind of neat as well. Or if they were going to make it into a bigger, a little bit more bigger box expansion, which also would have been kind of neat, is instead of the brutes or trying to think of what the other version, the bigger version characters, either the brutes or my brain can't think of what the zombie ones are called. Walker, runner, whatever the third one is, the brute level. If they would have had the Galactus's Punishers, that would have been kind of neat as well. like just adds a different sculpt. Like, hey, here's 5 of each of these guys you could add in. Even if they didn't have any special abilities, even if they only had like 1 or 2 of each, like 2 of each or something, just as alternate sculpts to throw in there, that would have been kind of a fun extra little thing. But that's just what I have to say about that. So this is definitely a really cool set to have. I don't know where I'm going to put this giant monstrosity. Although there is this collector-y part of me that almost wishes I bought a second set, so I could have had a zombie version and a regular version out. Although, again, it looks like he kind of pops apart pretty easily for however you want to display him. I'm going to wish the best of luck to anyone that spends the time painting these. I would definitely, if you do buy this and you paint this and for some reason you watch this far into my video, send me a link. I would love to see a fully painted version of this from an actual person. Alright, that's what we got for this. Hopefully the rest of Marvel Zombies will be coming shortly. Next couple of months, maybe. And then we can do the rest of the unboxings for these. See you guys later. Bye.